Today, I'm very excited. I'm going to provide a preview to Palantir's upcoming Q4 earnings report, play clips from an interview with PLTR's COO, share my biggest questions heading into the conference call, talk about some recently signed contracts, explain what Ark Invest has been doing, and add a little analysis concerning the r/WallStreetBets market fallout. Palantir has announced that results for its fourth quarter and fiscal year ended December 31st, 2020 will be released on Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, prior to the open of the U.S. markets. The company will host a conference call to discuss its results at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, which I am planning to livestream, and I've heard some speculation that Palantir would only be planning an AM release of their earnings report if it was indeed a blockbuster quarter, and while that is probable, I wouldn't say the timing makes that speculation a certainty. The stock has pretty much moved sideways this week, but I think it stayed quite strong throughout, as for my personal read on the movement. So there's a lot to get through in this stock update. Let's go. COO interview. So first, I'm going to play just a couple clips from a Yahoo Finance interview with Shyam Sankar. I'm choosing to include this since it is crucial to hear from a C-suite executive to get a feel for their confidence heading into an earnings report. Here's Shyam Sankar talking about how Palantir has been doing recently.
Well, thank you for having me, Brian. It's great to be here this morning. Things are going great. As we've discussed previously, COVID has been a real accelerant to our business, and that's because we've spent the last 17 years building a product that was really meant for this moment to help organizations and governments manage through crises like this. And so the world has been kind of wildly disrupted, but we see this as an opportunity to step up every day and do more, and it's pretty exciting for us.
Palantir sees the current global environment as an accelerant to its business, which is, of course, great to hear, and I'd say perhaps could be greatly recognized in this upcoming Q4 review. Palantir has been very busy getting a lot of contracts lined up. I'll get to more on that in a few minutes.
Let's stay on that on your COVID work. You recently signed a 3-year deal with the FDA to assess the safety of certain drugs, which includes potential COVID-19 vaccines. What is your data telling you there with regards to the safety of these types of vaccines?
Well, I have no specific insight into the FDA's data. We're proud to provide data to the FDA, the NIH, who's integrating data from over 70 institutions around clinical trials related to COVID treatments, along with NIH, HHS, and Protect, looking at capacity and utilization and making sure that their healthcare service is available. And so I think this is just a crucial time to help folks manage the supply chain and get the right drugs to the market as quickly as possible. We help our customers manage their own data. We have no visibility into that. But what I do see dealing with customers is that they're dealing with just massive simultaneous disruptions. They have supply side disruptions. How do I get the materials I need to continue production? Durability of operations. How do I protect my staff so that we can keep going here? And then on the demand side, your historical demand forecasts don't mean anything anymore. So how do I manage through this? And I think every single, whether you're a commercial organization or you're a national health service like the NHS, all of these are versions of supply chain problems. And that disruption we're seeing everywhere.
Palantir came out this week and signed a new deal with mining giant Rio Tinto. What exactly will you be doing with them? And is that indicative of a steadier pace of deals? Because if there's been any knock on Palantir, it's that your deals are a little lumpy. They come in large chunks, high-class problem to have. But nonetheless, what is your outlook?
Yeah, we're very excited about the multi-year enterprise-wide partnership with Rio Tinto there. We're helping them wield their vast amounts of internal data they generate from operations, from production planning, from logistics, from customer interactions, to help them run a more efficient company, a more competitive company. And the work there is super exciting. One of the first things we've helped deliver is a fully connected underground mining operation. And that's part and parcel with how we think about Foundry, our software solution there, being an operating system for the modern enterprise. So there's a lot of great work ahead of us there, and we're very excited about that industry.
It's great to hear Palantir continuing the dialogue from Demo Day, because I think the more they continue the clear, straightforward messaging about what matters in their specific lines of business, the easier it is for analysts and individual investors to understand the company going forward.
Perhaps you could alleviate some of the concerns on the street regarding your government business. That's where you operate, if I'm correct, using Gotham, really one of your trademark platforms. Has there been any change in the government pipeline now that we have a change in the White House?
We remain incredibly excited about the government business here. It's always worth remembering that we've worked now under 4 U.S. administrations, 5 in the UK, 4 in France, 2 in Germany. We've worked with President Biden when he was overseeing the anti-fraud efforts in the Recovery Act, and with Vice President Harris when she was the Attorney General of California on various criminal justice initiatives. But much more importantly than that, the people who make these decisions, the people who choose perhaps to buy our software, they are career civil servants, and they've worked under many more administrations than we have.
Is it fair to say, is what you're selling and what you do, is it essential for government moving forward, just given all the risks we've seen around cybersecurity or other attacks on the country?
Well, I think what we do is quite important, and crises like this really catalyze that. I think not only commercial institutions and governments, but also citizens are going to demand some of the innovation that has been catalyzed through this crisis well into the future here. So there's certainly a big opportunity around this.
Good comments again on Palantir's government work now with a new administration. I know some were worried about what Biden taking the White House would mean for PLTR. Likely, as Shyam is saying, not too much of a change from how they've been traditionally operating with Gotham and historically under many different administrations.
John, I'm sure you've been watching us all week and you've seen all the crazy market activity. Your stock has been swept up in this a little bit. The closing day price for your first day of trading was on September 30th, $9.50. Your stock is now over $37 just looking at the ticker on the screen. Do you think the stock price where it is now, does it reflect accurately Palantir's future?
Well, Brian, I've been at Palantir for 15 years, and I'm just focused on doing the work. I think for things like this, we really have to maybe sit down 15 years from now and have a discussion about how it all played out.
You've been in Silicon Valley for a while, and now you have moved the company's headquarters to Denver. Just what's your take on the market activity right now?
I'm an expert on how you wield data to transform enterprises, how we manage ourselves through these supply chains. I'll leave the market commentary to the other much more prodigious experts you have here.
Fair enough.
Thank you, guys.
I love these somewhat cheeky comments to cap off the interview from Shyam. He's focused on what he can do best for the company, not what the stock can do for himself. Although, if you listen closely, he put a 15-year time frame out there, just as an off-the-cuff way to deflect the question. I think Palantir is definitely a company that needs modeling more than a decade out. Maybe, as Shyam is saying, it should be more like 15 years. Something I'm going to keep in mind going forward. Questions. So in this section, I'm going to share 3 long and open-ended questions I have for Palantir, and ones that I would love for them to cover. Hopefully, even if PLTR does not directly address the following, I will be able to infer following the conference call to answer them, considering I do not currently have sufficient information to just yet. Number 1. In Q3, with Palantir's first quarterly report, it posted a tremendous loss driven by so-called one-time expenses, a great deal of which coming from stock-based compensation. Therefore, is SBC going to be a continual expense each quarter to a great degree, or was it truly one-time in nature as originally stated? Number 2, Palantir is guiding for 30% double-digit percentage growth this year. Can Palantir sustain such a compound growth rate, barring any unforeseen economic impacts, or should investors expect choppy yearly growth numbers? Number 3, in terms of profitability, when does Palantir expect to achieve a level where it can repeatedly and continually achieve such profitability? Palantir has previously estimated that there are approximately 6,000 companies globally with more than $500 million in annual revenue that could be potential customers. Even though Foundry is only part of the story, would increasing the total client base from hundreds to thousands of customers be enough for profitability? Or does PLTR need the aforementioned 6,000 clients, along with other revenue sources from other platforms, to become meaningfully profitable? Now, I could answer these questions already in a way that I think they are likely to respond, but I'd rather hear Palantir's responses, considering management could offer some key future insights here. New contracts. The following are headlines I was able to dig up since November 13th. the day after Palantir's Q3 earnings report, for new publicly announced contracts. I'll just read through them. U.S. Army contract, FDA contract, U.S. Army 1-year option contract, UK Health Services contract, Japan contract, Fujitsu contract, PG&E deal, Rio Tinto multi-year partnership, and BP continued partnership. Deals, deals, and more deals. I think PLTR will have a lot of positive news to share during the conference call, especially when it comes to discussing and shocking investors with their volume and quality of new contracts. Ark Invest. If you look at the breakdown for Ark Invest's ownership of Palantir stock, you'll see, of course, it is increasing over time. I'd love for them to open source their PLTR research, but until that point, I'd have to infer that they loved what got announced at Demo Day, and that's why you see them buying even more shares at these even higher prices. Ark will pay whatever premium for the innovation they believe is the future. I read that as only a bullish sign. GME Fallout. You've probably noticed that I haven't put out a bunch of videos recently throughout this whole Reddit versus Wall Street debacle. That's not because I have nothing to say, and it's definitely not because I'm not interested in the short-term movement. It's because I feel it is irrelevant to discuss on a long-term investment channel such as the Investing Opportunity. And believe me, I've been watching, listening to, and reading all there is about this whole scenario. I do, however, want to share some of my thoughts on GME, AMC, Robinhood, and all the other players involved eventually. Maybe I'll do it as a members-only production, or, if you're interested in my perspective, leave a comment so I can gauge interest, and perhaps make it a more long-form video. Nevertheless, Palantir was impacted by the events that unfolded, at least somewhat. I think that the upward pressure and exuberance that you'll see from the 1-month chart came from PLTR at least being on the watch list for r/WallStreetBets, since it's been one of their favorites in the past. And, consequently, I think the stock has suffered a little over the past few days as GME, AMC, and others have collapsed. But I do think the stock has returned to a point of normalcy and will trade in a traditional way once again. At least that's my take at this present moment. Conclusion. I'll be back for a part 2 to this Q4 earnings report preview. Please leave any requests for what you would like covered in the comments. Leave a like if this video was insightful. And just so you know, I've dissolved Patreon in favor of YouTube memberships, starting at just $1.99, for perks like bonus videos and much more. Check that out if you're interested. Until next time.